Hey, what's going on, guys? It's JD Moonin. I'm coming at you guys with another philosophy video. It's going to be the first one of my new series that I'm going to be doing. So that new series is going to be called Touching Base Series. Basically what it's going to be about is like touching base with reality, if that makes sense. So basically it's like I've chosen a couple of words that I want to focus on, I want to get a full understanding of, and kind of just, you know, tell you guys what my thought processes are. So I'm going to be jumping back and forth between the Touching Bases series and also the weapon sets series as well for ESO, as well as a couple different build videos, things like that. So the first thing I want to touch base on before we move forward in this video is I want to talk about what I meant by not believing in God yesterday. Okay, I don't believe in God as an idol. Okay, if there is a God and there's one to believe in, or there's, you know, one to have faith in, or whatever the case may be, I don't think we can understand or comprehend God. God, to me, is everything around us. Everything that we are, everything around us is, that is God, and we can't comprehend it. We can't understand it. So I can't believe in something that I can't understand. You know what I'm saying? And I would expect anybody else that's that way to be the same way. The only thing I can know is know that nature is real and trust in nature. That's the one thing I can do. And so I'm going to put all of my faith in nature, which is a process or a thing of everything around us. So therefore, at that point, then I guess some could consider it God. So moving forward, I just want to go on into what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the word of love, and I wanted to get like a full understanding of the word of love. And in order to do that, I went to the dictionary, and I kind of jotted down what they said in the dictionary. So let's kind of get an idea of what love is. So love is obviously a noun. It's an intense feeling of deep affection, and it is also either a person or thing that one loves. Also, it can be used as a verb, and that verb, it would be considered a feeling of deep romantic or sexual attachment to someone, in parentheses. I thought this was kind of funny because when I was looking at it in the dictionary, someone was in parentheses kind of expressing to me that it's like saying you can only love someone with a romantic or sexual attachment. I mean, in reality, like, that's what we would all call the norm, but I think relatively speaking, I think you can sexually love anything, honestly. You know, I'm not saying I do or anybody else should. I'm just saying that, I mean, if you really get into it, I mean, people are into some weird shit, you know? Anyways, so I want to move on. Other translations and meanings. One of the old translations is Lufu. This is from Old English of Germanic origin, also from Indo-European root, and it is shared by the Sanskrit lubagati, meaning desires, as well as libet, which is Latin, which is meaning it is pleasing. And then you have libido, leave, and leaf, which is also Latin, meaning desire as well. So moving on, I went ahead and I started doing like a reflection of love. And so the first thing I kind of want to dive into was to really understand, you know, what love is to me. And so I kind of just jotted down a few things that, you know, I can see see would be in the realm of love, or something that I could have love towards, or something that I could mistake love for. All these different avenues I took when I came up with this list. So the first one was obviously sexual love. Then you have lustful infatuation. You have family love, friendship love, love of feelings, love of items, things, places, and ideas, etc. Now that we have explored love in all of its forms as I would relate it to myself, by forms I mean types of love that one can have. So by types, I'm talking about, you know, the different ways I can love things or people or whatever the case may be. So I want to move on a little bit further. Now, Now, when we talk about love, I'm not talking about the love that someone clings to or runs to or believes in. Also understand that belief and faith are very much different, and most people get these two very confused. I mean, I found this out a long time ago when I myself was getting belief and faith confused. Oftentimes we think they're the same thing, and they're not. Anyways, moving forward from there. Also understand that belief and faith are very much different, and most people get these two confused, much like people who confuse their belief in religion as faith. In order to fully understand this thought process, we first need to understand the fundamental differences between belief and faith. So one of the things I went on to do was I went and got the dictionary version of belief and faith for you guys, so you have a full understanding of what I'm talking about when I'm diving into this. So what I found in here was that belief is an acceptance that a statement or thing is true or exists, and faith is complete trust or confidence in a statement or thing. So understand, I feel that belief is something to stay as far away from as possible, because I see this as blind faith. And when I mean blind faith, like blindly just believing it so and trusting it, having not even done any research on it or even looked into the history of it, that is what I see as blind faith. And I typically find most people that fall into the system of belief fall into this category. A lot of them end up falling into blind faith. They don't study anything. They don't look anything up. They don't have any knowledge of the history of the religion that they believe in. They just blindly believe it, and so I call that blind faith, in my opinion. Anyways, anything that is believed with no question or no attempt to understand its equal opposites would be considered to me as ignorance, and we all know how dangerous ignorance is and can be. If you're unsure of this, just turn on the news and look at a newspaper, and I'm sure it won't take you long to find something ignorant. Anyways, moving forward, the biggest issue I see with belief is that when you believe in something, you go out of your way to prove that your belief is right, with no exception, even if there is factual evidence supporting the latter. So what I mean by this is that when you believe in something, you then, most times I've seen this, just about every time I've seen this, then you go throughout all ends to try and convert every person you see to that belief. You're not trying to give them any factual evidence. You're not trying to show them or make them ask questions. You're not trying to make them seek this knowledge on your own. You're coming at them saying, I know this is the truth, and this is the truth, and you don't need to ask any more questions. I don't like that. I don't think that that is a proper way to put a belief onto somebody, or even a system that we would be looking to for truth. I just don't like that idea. Anyway, so moving forward, faith in my experience is very much different in the aspect a person that has faith has full trust in something. And in order to trust something, you have to have full confidence in it. When we look deeper into this, we see that faith is fundamentally different than belief. Because most of the time, belief, from what I understand as belief, it's just a blind belief. When it comes to somebody who has faith, they've studied this thing. They truly understand it, okay? And they see it to be true. And if you notice, I don't put the word in they believe it to be true. I don't see anybody who has faith in something. They're not believing it. They're not blindly believing this. They're not just, this is right, this is correct. When you have faith in something, you've done your research, you understand it, and you trust it. You have confidence in it. Whereas blind faith, blind faith, belief, to me, it's just, you don't know anything. You're just like, oh, I believe it. Oh, this guy told it to me, and it sounded good one day, and I believe that. And you didn't even look into anything else at that point. And that was all that's happened. And everybody else is wrong, and I don't like those. I just don't like those ideas. anyways, as we start to dive deeper into the fundamental difference of a person who has the belief in love and the person who has faith in love, we start to walk the line between love and desire, which in my opinion are also confused much like belief and faith. When we look at the difference between love and desire, we start to understand that love comes with contentment. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but most of the time when you see a married couple that actually love each other, they're just content. It's any couple that you see that actually love each other, they're content. They're not wanting more. They're not in the need of more. They're content with what they have. They're content with this. They love what they have, and they want to hold on to it, and they want to cherish it. That, to me, is love. That would be what some or most would consider agape love or true love. So anyways, let's go ahead and move forward a little bit. We start to understand that love comes with contentment, whereas desire falls further along the lines of addiction. But what is very strange with this is that they are equally destructive. So this we do know. Anybody who's been in love, actual love, not an addiction, you know how destructive love can be. And then most people know how destructive a addiction can be also. I mean, addiction can be just as destructive as love. In most cases, they're equally as destructive. Sometimes people kill themselves over either one. So that's just, in my opinion, you know, equally destructive. Anyways, this I believe is why they are so often confused for the other. But with further ponder on this, we start to see that one can cause the other and vice versa. The fundamental difference between the two, I think, is this. Love gives the feeling of need, that I need this, I need you, I need this thing, I need this. You know, this is a need. And then here in just a minute, I'll kind of dive deeper into what need is versus desire and wanting something. So desire gives the feeling of want. But so keep in mind that the feeling of want can and does get confused with the feeling of need. They are two separate feelings. They are two separate things. Keep in mind the difference between want and need will fully distinguish the difference between love and desire. Okay, so keep that in mind as well, because as you'll soon find out, there is no fundamental difference between desire and want. And I'll go into a little bit deeper into that as we continue on. The fundamental difference between want and love is this. Need is the feeling that something is essential, necessity, required, or an obligation. Want is the feeling or desire for something not obtained. Okay, so much like an addict, when they obtain this thing, then they are currently getting the illusion that they are in love with this thing, shoot it in their arm, or they drink it, or whatever the case may be, and then as soon as it's gone, then they go back to wanting it or desiring it. They need more, they need more, they need more. You know, we see this with addicts. And then, you know, when you have somebody who loves something, it's more of like, if I don't have this, I'm going to die. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like an addict, where an addict can subconsciously, and by subconsciously I mean their conscience doesn't want this thing, but their body is desiring it. And so that often gets, you know, misconstrued as a need or a love, you know, an essential item. But it's not an essential item. It's just something that your body feels that it needs to keep it from going into this experience that it's going into because of withdrawal or whatever the case may be. Whereas the same can be said with love too. When we think that we love something, then we often go through something very similar when it goes away. If it's not, you know, real love. If it's real love, then most of the time it's going to stay, or you're gonna, you know, one of the biggest things with love is letting it go, and I'm going to go deeper into that. So let's just carry on into, so that way I don't get too sidetracked and we start going and I get everybody confused. So I feel that with these two statements, we see that want and desire are the same thing. But love is the need of something. Now, with this, I understood belief, the most profound, I'm sorry, let me rephrase this. Let me see, blah, blah, blah. Where was I? okay, are the same feeling, but love is the need of something. Now, with this understood, I believe that the most profound feeling of love is when you let it go, okay, when you willingly give it up. That, to me, is one of the most profound feelings of love, and anybody who's been in true love, most of you have experienced this feeling at some point. You willingly give up the thing that you love, which is, it's a very hard feeling to deal with once you've actually dealt with that. Anyway, so I want to move forward from this. Now, this can be seen when two lovers part. So let me go back and reread what we were at. So now with this understood, I believe that the most profound feeling of love is when you let it go. This can be seen when two lovers part. Terence McKenna, for all of you who don't know who he is, I would definitely suggest looking up. He's a very great mind of the 20th century. So Terence McKenna couldn't have said it any better when he said, "When two lovers part, it is barely distinguishable from heroin withdrawal." Now, as he went on to go talk in that sermon, I didn't necessarily agree with everything he was saying, but still take it with merit. Anyways, let's move forward, but do not get the two confused. Love and addiction are very similar, but also fundamentally different. So, see, addiction often gets confused for love because it is a desire or want that becomes a feeling of need. And in some cases, an essential need to live while withdrawing, which this is often a feeling that is misleading. A lot of people, they mistake this for a love, a essential need of this item or whatever they are addicted to. Which then, gives them this profound feeling that they love this thing and they can't be without it. But in reality, it's an addiction, and it is giving you a very similar feeling to what you would get from love. So let's go ahead and move forward. So keep in mind, though this is an illusion of love, I do not see this as a form of love, but more a form of desire or want that become exaggerated and nothing more. That's all it is. It's just desire and wanting something, and then it gets exaggerated until it becomes addiction, and so on and so forth. So this is why I think most religions make lust a sin. So if you look at most monotheism, when you lust for something or you have sex out of wedlock or whatever, this is considered a sin, and it's not because God's going to damn you to hell and you're blah, blah, blah. No, that's a bunch of bullshit. But because the potential for this to become an exaggerated illusion of love, thus causing the infatuation, then addiction, and ultimately destruction. And what I mean by destruction is the destruction of your feelings, your emotions. It will completely and utterly destroy you. And for anybody who has been infatuated with somebody and then felt that destruction knows exactly what I'm talking about, because that destruction is very real. And that's a much different feeling once you've experienced and once you fully understand it than when you willingly let the lover go. The difference in the two feelings is that when you and the lover actually part, this is a mutual thing. You still love one another. But when you're dealing with an infatuation, you're dealing with something very similar to addiction. I mean, if not, it is addiction, honestly. If you really want my personal opinion on it, I really think this is a form of addiction. And when that addiction gets ripped from you, then it's very much similar to withdrawal. And so you start feeling all the same feelings that you would feel as though when you parted from the lover. Because you're going to go through something that I would consider like withdrawal symptoms when you split with the lover, and the same thing when you split with someone that you're infatuated with. And when these things happen, then it gives the illusion that it's love, but it's not really love. It's something completely different than love. It's some sort of addiction, some sort of mind fuck you know, you know what I mean? It's like that kind of like, it's like worse than drug addiction, right? I mean, it's like as bad, but worse, you know? Instead of your body needing this thing, it's like your emotions and your mind is like, I need this, you know what I mean? And so like, you're like flipping out, you know, trying to figure out what's going on. And that, in my opinion, is like the big difference between, you know, when this love is gone and that love is gone, or if you really needed, you know, set addiction and infatuation apart, then that would be the solemn differences, in my opinion. You have either way, it's still like a brain disease addiction kind of thing, in my opinion. But when you really look at it, like addiction is mainly like a physical thing. I mean, when you talk about smoking, it's like physical and non-physical. It's like you're doing this thing and you always do this thing, so it's like this habit, you know what I'm saying? Which I guess the same thing could be said with most addictions. But then whenever you look into, you know, infatuation, it's something on a very similar level. You're spending all your time with this person, you do everything together, you do blah, 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 the list goes on. And then the next thing you know, one day you look at each other and you just realize that you completely despise each other, or, you know, she's in love with another man, or you're in love with another girl, or whatever the case may be, or, you know, vice versa, or, you know, whatever it is. But at the end, when you look at both of them, they're exactly the same. There is no difference. It's an addiction that's leaving you, and now you're like, I don't know what to do, you know? So, I mean, that's what's going on with that whole deal. So, let's move forward now that I went off on this tangent and, you know, whatever. Okay, so, now I want to move on from desire, want, infatuation, and addiction. I think that we can all get a basic understanding now at this point of the destruction and the feeling that are associated with these feelings. Now, I am in no way saying that you become a bad person, evil, etc., because, you know, you fuck some chick because you got drunk one night at a bar, you know, or because you became infatuated with this girl and you guys were sleeping together. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? And for some religion to tell you that there's something wrong with that, that is completely natural. That is a natural emotion that we all go through, okay? And I'm sorry, but the way I see it is this. If there is a God or a architect or a one creator of all of this that's going to sit there and point that finger on me and tell me and always have me on probation, I don't want to be a part of your kingdom, okay? I'm sorry, but like, I spend enough time in my own jail, in my own mind, much less having to be in some other fucking asshole's jail with all these rules and regulations that keep me miserable anyways. You know, so it's like, fuck that. Anyways, so moving forward. So what I said was, now I'm in no way saying that you become a bad person, evil, etc., because you fell victim to any of these feelings. I'm also not saying for you not to do any of these, anything that encompasses these feelings either. I wouldn't tell you that because the experience is great. While it's going, it's great. You know? Fuck, I mean, at some point in your life, you're going to feel addiction. At some point in your life, you're going to feel infatuation. You're going to feel love. Experience them. Do things. Don't be afraid of your shadow. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid. God's gonna smite me. No, he's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, experience this life. You know, just go experience it, and don't be afraid to try new things or be with people or sleep with someone because that book said you shouldn't do it, or because that priest who fucked a little kid said don't do it. You know, it's like, dude, come on. You know, so, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's a bunch of hoo-ha. What I'm saying, however, is by all means experience these things. Just understand that they are what they are before they become a means of destruction or obsession. And so what I'm hoping by reflecting on this and then giving this information to you of my reflection is that if you have not went through these experiences, that when you do go through them, you'll remember this reflection and you'll be able to catch the signs of obsession or addiction or destruction before it comes. You know, you will be able to see these feelings. You'll start feeling differently. You'll get, it's a feeling that I cannot explain. Words cannot explain it, okay? But you will know. Everyone knows. And what it is basically people need the knowledge of what to look for or what the difference is in these feelings, so that that way they can go, okay, I know this. I've thought about this, and this is not, I don't need this. You know, I do not need this. This is going to cause destruction in my life. I've realized that I'm allowing myself to go too far down the rabbit hole, or whatever the case may be. And this is going to cause nothing but pain and anguish and blah, blah, blah later on. You know, if you want to avoid suffering, you can try. Okay, you can try, but I mean, at the same time, that's playing the game. And let's be real, playing the game, you may or may not prevent that suffering in the future. So the only thing I can say is just go do it. You may or may not suffer. Go do it. You know, at any point, one thing you're going to have to realize is that no matter what you do, you're going to suffer. So you can either hide in the shell or cling to the past or try and prepare for the future to avoid that suffering, or you can realize that no matter what I do, I'm going to suffer. No matter what I do. Okay, that is part of the human condition. You are going to suffer. So knowing that, go do things. Go do things. There's no way out of suffering. So fuck it. Okay, that doesn't mean go out there and fucking shoot 20 vials of heroin in your arm and kill yourself. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is go out there and experience life. Don't run from suffering. No matter what, it doesn't matter if you lock yourself in your house, you never date this chick, you never drink this beer, you never do this drug, or whatever the case may be, you never travel to Europe. No matter what you do, even though you avoid these things to try and avoid some form of suffering, then when all that time went by of you attempting to avoid that suffering, then you're just suffering from something else. So you see, I can't be like, the only thing I say is, you know what I'm saying, dude? Like, that's it. I mean, that's literally it. So the conclusion that I had from this, and now maybe your conclusion may be different, but the conclusion that I came up with, thinking in my mind and molding over the word love and the understanding of love, and then realizing what desire is and addiction and where these things all go together, and how, you know, I mean, realistically speaking, I feel like you can't have one without the other. You know, you can't have love without desire, and you can't have desire without love. You can't have addiction without desire, and you can't have addiction without love, because you're not going to realize that you're addicted without the feeling of love. So you're never going to realize that that's actually an addiction. So the list goes on. I mean, I could play on. I could do this play on words for hours. Anyways, so the conclusion that I figured out was the difference between love and desire or want is love is the true desire and want of something you already have, okay? But desire and want are the feelings of wanting something you do not have, okay? Now, given in certain circumstances, that statement could be different, like when it comes to heroin, but at the same point it won't be, because when you look at addiction, that statement would still be correct, because when you're going to get it, you're only going to have that substance for a very small amount of time, and then as soon as it's gone, you're going to be desiring and wanting it again, therefore showing you that that love that you thought you have is actually an addiction, which is very similar to love. And now the same can be said with infatuation. When you truly love something, when you truly feel this love, when that thing is gone, you still love it, okay? And you even get to a point where you have no desire or want for it, but you still love that thing. You still love that feeling. Now, then the same is not said for an addict. An addict is very different. When that thing is gone, they don't love it. They despise it. They're scared of it. You see what I'm saying? But their body is calling for it, because the body is still addicted to it. But their subconscious and their conscious is afraid of that thing. Okay? So keep this in mind when you're getting the difference of the two. Okay? So, I mean, that was my idea, and that is, like I said, it is the first series of the touching base series that I'm going to be doing. This was the first one. It was on love, something that I have dealt with very strongly in my past, in my history, and something I've struggled with. I've also struggled with infatuation. I've struggled with addiction. Anybody who knows me know these things. If you guys have any questions or comments, or if you want me to go deeper into it, or if you just have something, a video on something that you would like me to think on, please ask me. Tell me what would you like? What would you like me to even just talk about on the camera for you guys? What would you like me to go over? What would you like to just break out pen and pad for? Because essentially, I'm just here to help people. And so right now, the only thing I'm doing is trying to help you in the way that I know, which is telling you my experience and my beliefs. And in this particular one, in this particular philosophy, I wasn't, really doing a play on words, or some sort of anything like that. I'm just giving you my experience. Okay. So anyways, that's it. And guys, if you like this video, please don't forget to shoot a subscribe and a like at the bottom of the channel for me. Guys, please comment on it. Let me know what your thoughts are, and any way that I can make these things better. I mean, I'm a thinker, and I want to just think and give it to people. I get knowledge, and I want to give it to everyone. And that's what I want to do. So, I mean, I hope these things are helpful for you guys, and I hope it makes things look differently to you, But so, once again, thanks to all my fans and all the people who support me and my channel and what I'm doing here and what I'm really trying to go for. I appreciate and love all of you guys, and, yeah, don't stop thinking, guys. Don't stop thinking. And also, the last thing I want to leave you with is keep in mind that if you do believe in God, if your understanding of God or the Logos is different than mine, because I understand God as the Logos, but I have also probably studied a lot more into ancient religions than most. So my understanding of God is completely different than your average person who goes to church. Okay, I know about the Logos. I know what it is. I understand it to the best of my humanly capacity, but also I understand that I will never fully comprehend it or understand it. So I don't attempt to, and I don't hold it as an idol either, because that's going to be the first thing to lead to your destruction, in my opinion. I don't think that holding idols is a good thing. It just detaches you from reality. Any form of idol. Just understanding the process of nature and trusting those processes of nature, in my opinion, is the best way to live your life. So those are my thought processes. Once again, guys, thanks. Don't forget to shoot a subscribe at the bottom of the page, and also hit that like button for me. I will see you guys next time on Touching Bases. Here we go. Have a good one.